So welcome back. This is video number 3, and as you know, in the previous video I discussed on how to break things down category wise and subcategory wise. What I recommend that you do before you move to this video is try to accomplish some writing down those tasks and categorizing those things, because it's just going to make life a lot easier and be able to implement what we are trying to teach you. So in video number 3, we are going to talk about defining your priorities, and I'm going to help you do that by showing you a time management matrix. So time management obviously is not exactly the same thing as productivity. However, they do go hand in hand, and by applying and combining the two, they can actually help you out. So what I really want you to do is take a look at what we discussed in the previous video. And as you can see here, we have different priorities such as urgent and important, not urgent but important, urgent but not important, and not urgent and not important. Now, while that might seem a little bit confusing right now, that'll make a lot more sense in just a minute. And then on the vertical, we have important and not important, and then the horizontal part of it, we have urgent and not urgent. Now I'm going to break these up into sections, so it's going to be making a lot more sense in just a minute. So let's take a look at the urgent and important, because that's probably the most important thing out of all the lists of to-do lists and the tasks and the projects and everything like that. That is the most important thing that we need to get down. So these are categorized as deadlines, basically things that have a certain time that you have to get things done. Emergencies, and these emergencies might come up unexpectedly, so we have to be ready for them. And then of course, quick wins. And quick wins may not be expected, but they might be something that will help us push us through further and further on. But they're unexpected, so we do need to be aware of them. And then of course we have the urgent but not important. These things can be such as interruptions, distractions, or they are urgent. Like you might get a phone call, for example, but you realize the phone call might be from somebody who is not necessarily important. So they are interruptions, but you do need to categorize them and say, okay, I'm not going to take any phone calls from anybody unless it's from, my child or from my spouse or whoever that I might deem as important. But up until this point, we might be taking every single phone call that we get. So assuming that it is urgent but not important, and not in the urgent but important category, that's going to help us kind of categorize and prioritize in that sense. And then of course we have emails. Emails, in fact, is one of the most distracting thing that a lot of us encounter. They did a study and they found that a lot of people tend to spend most of their time on emails, on help desk tickets, on support, on the phone, any types of communication. And because of that, and we deem it as urgent and important, we are not able to get things done as quick as possible. But are we able to prioritize that, and we put that into the urgent but not important, and we figure out, okay, most emails are not important. I'm not going to take any of that until I get this task done that is urgent and important. Then guess what? You're going to get things done quicker. And then of course, unscheduled meetings. So for example, people showing up at your house, or people, solicitors, or anyone showing up in your office, or that is unscheduled. If it is unscheduled and you're just trying to be nice, then you need to take a look at why you're taking these meetings and why in your mind right now you feel like they are urgent and important, and how you can probably categorize them as urgent but not important. So for example, if you have open office hours, that's totally fine. But if you realize that most of your time is being spent towards that, then you realize that you need to make adjustments for the sake of your productivity in other areas. So what you're trying to figure out is, are what you're doing right now impacting other areas of your productivity? Because if they are, you will need to make those changes. But you're not going to really know that unless you begin to prioritize. So that brings us to the not urgent, but important. So a lot of times, things that are important tend to not really show themselves like in your face. And they might not seem urgent, but they're actually very important, but they're kind of pushed on the side, pushed away because over time we've tried to accomplish tasks that might seem a lot more urgent and might seem like they're all in your face. So such as major projects and success plans, relationship building, and health. We don't really think about our health. I've talked to many doctors before, and they said that a lot of times that people tend to spend a lot of their time, a lot of their stress comes from work and maybe building a business, working on your career, and so forth. But then at the end of the day, when you're retired, you're spending all of that money towards health. So we don't really think about that, but health can actually impact a lot of these other areas. If you're not healthy, you're not getting enough sleep or exercise, then you're not going to be able to perform as efficiently on getting major projects done. So for example, if you are getting 3 hours of sleep, sometimes work that might take you 10 hours will actually take you 20 hours or 30 hours. But if you're getting the proper amount of sleep and exercise, then that 30-hour project would actually turn into 5 hours or less. So that's why health is so important. But relationship building is because we are social beings as well. So they might not seem urgent because, major projects and, all these other phone calls and everything like that are in your face, but these are definitely important. So you really need to categorize, figure out what kind of major projects may be not urgent and in your face, but definitely important and are preventing you from actually reaching the end goal. So maybe that major project may not seem that urgent, but it's preventing you from going from point A to point C. So see what I mean here? So that's why we need to really, really be careful when we prioritize and categorize things in that sense. And that brings us to the fourth category, which is not urgent and not important. So, for example, time wasters, things that are trivial, arguments. You might see something that's in your face. And sometimes as human beings, we feel like because it is in our face that we must solve it right away. Or if somebody is screaming to get our attention, then, and it seems urgent and really important, but it really isn't. So that's why you really need to sit down and write down, put it in a piece of paper, create a cross, and then show what we showed earlier. So not important and urgent, and so forth and so on. So if you need to go back to the beginning of the video and write down that matrix in that cross with the 4 different quadrants in it, feel free to go and do that. So once you've gotten to this point, you will have realized, aha, so now I know that even though, Larry here has been screaming at my face or calling me constantly, I realize that he is not really that important in compared to my other to-do list. Now, but you're not really going to know that unless you begin to prioritize and write it down. So writing it down on a piece of paper will actually help you better than typing it into your iPhone. But that option is there because it's better than nothing. So in the next video, we are going to move on to video number 4, and I'm going to talk about how to schedule and create your to-do list.